Hey everybody, and welcome back to the board meeting. Today I'm going to be reviewing a bundle of games. I've got 7 different Button Shy games. They sent me a bundle of these games, and Button Shy, if you don't know, is just a wallet-sized game. They specialize in making these wallet-sized games, and they're usually about 18 cards. They're really cheap. They're about $12 per pack of these cards. And they're just a company that I really like. They make these micro games with 18 cards, and they just do a really good job of doing a lot with a little. I mean, I don't like every single one of them, but I do like a lot of them, and I think it's, out of micro game companies, this is probably my favorite out of those. I'm going to be reviewing 7 of these. I'm going to be talking about my least favorite, going to my favorite. I'm separating them to 3 tiers. Low tier being a game that I don't really like at all. Mid tier being games I do like, and high tier games that I really, really enjoy quite substantially. And I'm just going to go from my least favorite to my favorite. Before I do get started though, I want to say, if you do like Button Shy games, one thing that I do suggest is getting the expansions for them. A lot of these games do have expansions for them, and they just add a couple cards and they're very cheap to add on to them. So if you do like one of these games, probably just add on the expansion. The expansion is just going to add that much more variability and fun for yourself for these games. So let's just start with my least favorite game out of all of these. It's going to be the only game that I would put in the low tier, and it's going to be a surprise to a lot of people, because a lot of people, this is their favorite Button Shy game. This is Tussie Mussie by designer Elizabeth Hargrave, of fame of Wingspan. She is a great designer, but this particular game wasn't really for myself. In this game, it is an I cut, you choose game where you're going to be building out a tableau of 4 cards in 3 different rounds and scoring those 4 cards in each of those rounds. Person who scores the most points at the end of 3 rounds wins the game. So each round, a player is going to pick up 2 cards from this deck, and these cards are flower themed, and they are really bright, colorful. They're really beautiful cards in this game, and they're going to take these 2 cards, look at them, choose one of them to put face down, and then keep one of them face up and offer them to the other person. That's the I cut, you choose component of it. And the other person is going to choose one of them, and whether they take the blind card or the card face up that they know, and then they're going to put it into their little area from left to right. And these cards at the end of the round are going to score you points. And a lot of the cards will give you just straight up points, or other cards will give you points for having cards that are adjacent to it, or other cards that you're going to score points for each pink card that's in your little tableau. You're going to score anywhere from like 0 to 10 points each of these rounds. The reason why I don't really like this one as much, I mean, I don't hate it. I rate this one a 6. And the reason why I don't really like it is that I cut, you choose mechanic, and it's a blind pick, and I just don't think this game is big enough in scope to pull off that I cut, you choose mechanic, as well as some other games, and it's a mechanic I do like. But for me, it just didn't work that well. I just didn't really care as much in this game. It's too small of a game. This is one of the games that it felt like I was playing a micro game, where some of the other games, it feels like, you only have 18 cards, but it feels like you've got some big decisions in there. This one, I just didn't feel like it. I felt like it was small, and it just didn't pull it off well. But that's only my opinion. This is one of the most popular Button Shy games out there, so at least try to check out a review on it, maybe a playthrough of it, and see if it's one that you will like. It personally wasn't for me, but I can tell a lot of people really do like that. Now, that was the only game that I put in the low tier. Now we're going to the mid tier. These are games that I rate anywhere from a 6.5 to 7.5. These are games that I personally like. The first is Death Valley. Death Valley is this push your luck sort of game where you are going to be building out this tableau, and the tableau is a top section and a bottom section. On your turn, you are either going to take a card off of the deck of cards, or the card that's beside it that you can see what it is, or you can take from the deck blindly, and you're going to put that card on the top of your tableau area. Or on your turn, you can take a card that's on the top of your tableau and put it into the bottom part of the tableau, which sort of secures that card. You won't lose those cards. the push your luck sort of mechanic in this game is that each of these cards has a particular hazard symbol on it, and if ever you have 3 of that hazard type in your tableau area, you are going to lose all of the cards that are in that top row, and those cards are going to get discarded and put in the discard pile, and one of the card that you busted with is out of the game. The other cards, you're going to go through and use those cards still throughout the game. And these cards are going to score you points for different ways. Sort of like in Tussie Mussie, some cards will score you just straight up points. Some cards will score you points for having different types of cards in your tableau. Some cards will give you points for having it adjacent to it. And the adjacency is kind of neat because it can be beside it, or it can also be above it if you have that, if their cards are in that bottom tableau area. I give this game a 6.5. I think it's a pretty good game. It's decent. I do like the look of this game, the art style, the nature theme of this game. So check out Death Valley. Let's go into the next line of game. This is Circle the Wagon. Circle the Wagon is you are drafting these cards. These cards are in a circle, and inside those circle are 3 different scoring objectives. You have your regular cards, but on the other side of them is a scoring objective. At the beginning of the game, you're going to flip over 3 of these cards randomly and putting out those objectives. That's going to be how you score your points in this game. So on your turn, you're going to pick a card that's around this circle. You have a particular card that you're supposed to pick, but you don't have to pick that card. You can skip that card and go to the next card and take that one instead. But any cards that you skip go to your opponent, and then they can put it into their tableau. And you're going to be placing this in your tableau, building out this grid system, and you're trying to complete those objectives that you have on those cards, placing them down. You can cover up other cards. You can, cover up half the other card on the side or on the bottom or this way or that way, and they have to stay vertical in this game. And yeah, you're going to just score points based on those objectives and based on the different terrain types having big clumps of them together, basically. And it's a really fun game. I rated a 7, but there's a game that later on in this list that takes the central mechanics of this game, and I think just improves it in every possible way. But I do like this one in particular. So that's Circle the Wagon, giving it a 7 rating. Let's go on to the next game. This is Skulls of Sedlac, and this is sort of drafting game, and you are building out this pyramid. On your turn, you are going to be revealing cards in this pile, and these cards are broken up into 2 little sections. There's going to be 2 different skulls on these cards, and then you're going to take one of these cards and put it into your area, and you're going to be building a pyramid with these. And each of these cards, they have 2 skulls on them. They have, the skulls are different types, and they're going to score in different ways. And like the priests, there are priest cards in this, and the priests are going to score for every level that has a priest on it. There are 2 points for every priest that there's a level on, or every level that has a priest on it, I should say. So if you have a priest on the first level, a priest on the second level, a priest on the 5th level, you're going to score 6 points, 2 points for each level that has those priests on it. There are criminals in this, or peasants, that are going to score 1 point for each peasant card that's in your area. There are romantic cards, and those romantic lover cards, they want to be beside each other. And if you have a romantic beside another romantic, each of those romantic cards are going to be worth 3 points. So all these cards are going to score differently, but there's only 5 different types. So it's a very easy game, very easy to teach. You're just building out that little pyramid, trying to score points as best you can with the 5 different types that there are in this game. And I really like this game. This is a game that you play really quickly. You can play a game of this, 2-player game of this, in like 5 to 10 minutes. So you play this game, and then you play it and play it and play it. You can play it 4 or 5 times in a matter of a half an hour, a lot of times. And I do like this game. I think after you play it 4 times, you kind of want to put it away for a while, though. It's not going to be one of those games that you play, 3-4 times a week sort of game. This is going to be one that I personally enjoy, but I'm not going to play it every week. I'm going to break this out maybe once every couple months, play it and have a great time at it, but then I want to put it away for a while and then maybe show some other people it as time goes on. This is going to get a 7 rating as well. It's one that I really liked, and I've played this one quite a bit. Let's go on to the next game, the last game that's in the mid-tier of this list. This is Food Chain Island. This is a grid sort of game where you have cards that are listed 0 through 15, and it's the food chain. You know, the lion is the 15, and the small cards are like ants. It just goes by the food chain, and it's only a single player game. And on your turn, you are going to take a card and try to eat other cards of the smaller types. And you can only take cover cards that are 3 or less of that card that you're moving. So if you have the 8 card, you might move it on to the 6 because it's only 2 less. And after you do move those cards onto them, there's going to be some sort of special ability that activates, like moving cards around the grid, maybe removing certain cards. And your goal in this game is to try to have 3 or less piles of cards in this game, and then you win. This is a very simple game. I don't think it's too brain-burny. This is sort of like the end of the night game. Like you come home from a long night at work and you want to play a game quick. You play this, you break this out, play it in 10 minutes. You're not going to have to think too hard, but you are going to have to think a little bit. But it's pretty simple, and it's pretty easy to win this game. So if you want an easy game at the end of the night to just sort of relax before you go to bed, I'm giving Food Chain Island a 7.5. It's one that I have really liked. Now let's go on to the high tier games. These are the games that I rate 8, 9, or 10 even. And the first game in this high tier is ROVE. ROVE, like Food Chain Island, is this grid movement sort of game, but this is a much brain burnier sort of game. And you are going to have 6 modular cards in your grid area, and you are also going to have a hand of cards. And your hand of cards is you're going to be playing these cards out, and these cards are going to give you movement, action movements. And like this card will give you 1 movement, so you can move one of your modules around. Or if your grid is set up in a certain way, it might get you 3 movement points. So you want to maximize your cards if possible. And what the point of this game is you're trying to make your grid of modules make a certain pattern and have a certain card in that pattern in a specific area. And you're trying to accomplish that. I think it's 7 times each game, and it's very hard to do. The thing about this game is each of these modules has a specific way that they can move. Maybe the module can only move diagonally. Maybe the module can only move up, down, left, or right. Maybe the module has to jump over other particular cards in order for it to move. There's just a bunch of different rules for how all 6 of these different modules actually can move. And also, each of these modules has a one-time special ability you can use during the game. So it's all about maximizing your efficiency and using your particular powers as best you possibly can. This is a really thinky game, and it's a really hard game for myself to win. Like I said, Food Chain Island, I probably win a majority of the time, a good majority. ROVE, I lose a good majority. I'm not saying I'm good at the game. I'm probably really bad at the game, but I think it's going to be very challenging for everybody. Like I said, Food Chain Island's sort of the end of the night game before you go to bed. ROVE is like midday sort of game where when you're at peak brain capacity of your best moment of the day, you're going to try and play ROVE, and you're going to try and beat it. I've tried to beat this game so many times, and I fail, 90% of the time with it, but it's one that I keep coming back to. I would rate this game an 8, maybe an 8.5. It's one that I really liked. And out of all of these games, this was the biggest surprise for me. I saw it and I'm like, yeah, it's going to be okay at best, but it is one that I've really, really liked over this last about month now that I've been playing it. So let's go on to the last game, the game that I've played the most out of all of these games for the last couple years. This is one that I've raved about before. This is Sprawlopolis. Now, I talked about Circled Wagons, and I said there was sort of a sequel. This is that sequel, and I think they do everything better in this game. In this game, though, you have these sort of city cards, and you're building out a city. But at the beginning of the game, just like Circled Wagon, you flip over 3 of these cards, and it's going to have an objective. That's how you're going to score a lot of your points throughout the game. but you have 3 cards in your hand each turn, and you are trying to play these cards out in this grid, trying to accomplish your goals, trying to get certain city parts next to other city parts, parks next to other parks, and you want your roads to connect to your roads. There's a lot going on in this game. There's a lot to think about, and this is a pretty hard game to beat as well. And it's just really fun. I have played this game hundreds of times over the last couple of years. So this wasn't part of the games that got sent to me, but this is my favorite game out of them. I would rate Sprawlopolis a 9. This is one of my favorite solo games, actually. And to be one of my favorite games of anything and have only 18 cards in it is quite the accomplishment. A micro game being one of my favorite games is crazy. They've done such a good job. And Button Shy, I think they're just a good company at making a lot happen with a little, maximizing with minimal cards. That's what they do. Comment down below what some of your favorite Button Shy games are. Maybe tell me, maybe I'm wrong about some of these things. Tell me I'm wrong about Tussie Mussie, because I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me about that. Just comment about Button Shy, some of your favorites. But if you did enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe to see more weekly content from me, Shane, at the board meeting in the future. Hope you all have an amazing day. Take care.